Hello, friends. A friend of mine, well, bad news, but just to make a point, a friend of mine passed away on the street alone of a heart attack. Unexpected. Nobody saw it coming. He seemed very fit and healthy to me, but it can happen anytime, so keep that in mind when you're living. Anyway, kind of sad, and yeah, grace of God and all that. Anyway, I think lately I've been looking at game theory again. I think everybody should know game theory front to back, even if you can't do the math, because it's such a fantastic tool. And also keep in mind why people like Robert McNamara during the Vietnam era, who was a game theoretic kind of strategist and tactician, made such a mess of everything, you know, using really good tools to make decisions and then screwing things up so badly. And the same thing happening now with our leaders around the world, messing things up terribly, despite their understanding of game theory and so on. Not that there's a replacement for it, because it's very embedded in human nature and social norms. Social norms are really interesting things to study across culture, and how they evolve and how they're punished: first order, second order, third order punishment, and then up the chain, categorical norms that happen, like maybe social norms are like lobstermen or cattlemen or mafia or pirates or whatever. They all have their code and their, you know, punishments for not, you know, going along with the code, with the system, with the social norms. And then you have categorical norms, which have to do with like universal human rights or things like that. Broader categories that people tend to sign off on. One of them is money, right? Why the hell do we have money? Are there no other ways to get things done and trade and whatever? Especially the kind of financial system we have now, which is arguably a scam that not many of us participate in fairly. Fairness is a thing. People really worry about it, regardless of where you are in the world or what your norms are or what your culture is. It's a big deal. People like fair play. It's kind of built in. It has to be. You can look at other animals and find out fair play and how they play the game. Now, is there another game like game B or C or D or F that's better? I don't know. Then up the chain from that, there's state norms, right? Coding capital and rules-based order, or whatever you want to call it. The Hague, you know, International Criminal Court. Why did Roosevelt not use chemical weapons on Iwo Jima? We nuked Japan to save lives. Why didn't we use chemical weapons to kill Japanese and save 20,000 Marines on Iwo Jima? It's a good question, right? Maybe it's because we didn't know the kind of damage a nuclear weapon would create, and we wanted to find out, whatever. But there were social norms against these kinds of weapons of mass destruction. We didn't use them. Just recently this year, America destroyed its cache of chemical weapons. So it took a long time. So the norm around the world, the state norm, categorical state norm, was that we don't use that stuff. We decide not to use it. We can use it as a pretext to go to war with Iraq, even though it's a lie. We listen to lies, we eat lies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We don't seem to care that much. But anyway, so now we're sending cluster munitions to Ukraine. We don't know if they're going to make any difference or not. A lot of experts from the military say they won't. Ukraine needs different kinds of weapons, and they're not getting enough of it primarily because the world wasn't, NATO and its allies weren't mobilized for war when this war started. So the whole industry of making, you know, artillery rounds and whatnot weren't in place. But we're wasting a lot of money, and we don't want to audit the military spending. That's verboten. We know how much we wasted, how much corruption and scams and waste there was in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places in the world like Vietnam and so on over the decades. But we don't want to audit this war now because nobody ever wants to do that. It's a for-profit business. So yeah, everybody has their social norms, whether it's pirates or Goombas or lobstermen or cattlemen. We watch the TV shows, we know about these things. We can learn from our TV shows if we don't want to read books. And it is very game theoretic, and for a reason. You know, learning about human psychology from various points of view, like from from psychology, from brain science, from sociology, whatever, any ology you want. Science, yeah. Transcendence, yeah. Why not? What the hell's wrong with these tools? What do you want to give up at the end of the day to become sustainable and for your children's future? That's a big discussion that we're all having. And game theory is a big part of it. You should know it backwards and forwards. It's a fascinating subject. Lots of good books on this subject to read. Very important to understand. And to understand, you know, like I said before, cross-cultural emotions, how we process things, understanding and recognizing that what's good for China might be good for China and Chinese people, and not what Americans would prefer. But so what? Can we cooperate? Can we do things together? Categorical norms, state norms that make sense and provide us with a future without being hypocrites. I don't think we can do that with the current kind of money or financial system because there are so many values and incentives that are extremely destructive. And as long as people are primarily motivated by those kinds of rewards, we're not going to get there. Obviously, punishment is a big thing, first, second, third, fourth order, institutional, whatever, to keep people in line. But generally speaking, it's these things that just kind of make sense to people in a given context, in a given culture, and they're willing to adhere to those norms because it works, they work. And maybe someday in the future there'll be an AI because we can't find enough evidence for God's existence. So we want to become gods or create a God, either in our imaginations, in our literature, in our cultures, or in our machines. So maybe you have sensors, everything's programmed right. The AI understands all the different cross-cultural relations, all the categorical norms and social norms and state norms, and can enforce things, can, you know, shut down stuff like, oh, sorry, your nukes are temporarily turned off because you're violating the rules. And so we'll be safer in some way, you know, instead of the AI going against us and wrecking us. It actually helps us. But then would people allow it to happen? Would somebody else who wanted to break all the rules come along and say, then you're with Minority Report, you know, you have to follow people, you have to know what they're doing to police them. And we have that already, but to what degree? You know, having the Chinese government know about your WePay, does it ruin your life? Not really. So yeah, they can punish you if you fuck up too much, but a lot of people in China think that's a good thing because they respect the social norms they have and they adhere to them, and they want other people to also. So if you're lined up at the Metropolitan Museum of New York and you want to get your badge to go in there and walk around, you're not going to cut in line because somebody's going to get pissed. They're going to call you and punish you for breaking the rules. You got to get your badge first, wait in line, then go into the Met and have some fun. And these things permeate everything in our culture, wherever you're from. I remember social norms in Japan, in Hong Kong, in Shanghai, in different parts of the world. And you know, you go along to get along. If you're just throwing your weight around as some dumbass American trying to say, oh, these people are so stupid, they don't act right, well, you're an idiot. You should just go home and stay home. If you want to live in this world, which has limited resources, we can't have, you know, rampant, ravenous consumerism forever. We're going to have to learn how to play along so that we can keep things going and keep a certain level of comfort and the evolution of ideas and technology and science going without it destroying us and wrecking us. We can figure this shit out if we want to read and understand how things work. If we don't, well, we're going to have our opinions, we're going to have our dogmas, we're going to defend them to the death. I hope you don't have to do that. I'd like to see you live, and go get your checkup, make sure everything's working, the ticker's good, and you don't have any early stage cancer and whatnot. Go to the dentist, get your teeth cleaned. Live long and prosper. Bully MT, out.